Hello, hello. Today I'm trying a new flavor from Ben & Jerry's. They've just come out with a new line called Sundays. I don't know how many they have in total, but I found 3 of them. I found some at Target and I found some at Harris Teeter. This one is from Harris Teeter. I think what makes them Sundays is that they have this whipped topping on top of the ice cream. The description is buttery ice cream with fudge-covered almonds and pretzel swirls, topped with caramel swirled whipped topping and fudge-covered pretzel pieces. Wow. So this is not a pint. This is 14.4 fluid ounces. And I think Ben & Jerry's is trying to find creative ways to make more money by charging you the same amount for ice cream that actually is not ice cream. The top part of this, sort of like those, I think they're actually called Topped, Ben & Jerry's Topped. They have like a layer of chocolate or something. There's a layer, from what I've gathered, there's a layer of whipped topping for these. So you're not really getting your money's worth of ice cream, but it's different, it's interesting. So we'll see what it's like. There's also a description. If you ever needed a reason to come out of your shell, this is it. Our turtle tribute is a Sunday spin on a turtle cluster treat. From the fudge-covered almonds to the caramel swirled topping, it's sure to soothe your turtle yearnings. All right, so we're gonna dive in. I have to take a brief break to take my dog outside. Okay, so I also discovered that this has just been happening with the Ben & Jerry's pints of late. They do not have that ripped, that serrated top on the plastic. So you have to cut it, which I've also disappointed in Ben & Jerry's. We're no longer providing that easy access to the pints. So just be aware of that if you're trying Ben & Jerry's. So this is the top. I feel like it's gonna fall if I tip it too much because it's got these chocolatey crumbles. And you can see the whipped topping and the caramel. It's a fun presentation. It smells kind of caramelly. Okay, well, we are going to dive in. Wow, it's really smooth into that whipped topping. Okay, more dog-related interruptions. Sorry about that. So, there is a lot of whipped topping right off the bat. I'm noticing it's a really thick layer of whipped topping, which I'm a little disappointed by, but that's okay. You can see, I don't know if you can see how deep, that's the ice cream. So this top portion is the whipped topping. So it's a pretty thick amount there. All right, I don't know if I even got ice cream in this scoop, but we'll find out. That is interesting. That is very interesting. So I guess it is reminiscent of like a butter pecan. It is buttery ice cream. And this has almonds and not pecans, but it reminds me of butter pecan. I don't really like the toppings. I'm not a big Sundaes fan, so maybe that's explains it, but I'm not really loving all that. I like mix-ins. I don't like the layers. I don't like Sundaes or essentially having these separate layers of toppings and then ice cream. I don't like how that texture-wise works. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what all is happening here because there's a lot of flavors. Fudge-covered almonds and pretzels. Okay, I'm tasting pretzels. Topped with caramel swirled whipped topping and fudge-covered pretzel pieces. The fudge-covered pretzel pieces have a really big presence. So I'm tasting a lot of those. And once you get past those, there's really not a lot of mix-ins. It's mostly just buttery ice cream. I see some caramel swirls. I don't see any fudge. I think I see a hint of a fudge-covered almond, but there's not many. Okay, I just got a piece of one. They are good. They are toasted almonds. I'm actually not a fan of toasted almonds. I eat almonds every day, but I don't love the flavor of toasted almonds. I think that they're typically used in ice cream, though. Haagen-Dazs has one I tried. Their Swiss almond, I think is what it's called. It reminds me a lot of that once you get down into the base. Ooh, that was falling. The whipped topping itself is thicker than you would imagine. It's hard to know where the whipped topping ends and the ice cream begins. It's almost like I think the whipped topping is really ice cream-like. I'm trying to just get some of the whipped topping to try. And it's really ice cream-like. It's cold and creamy and it kind of freezes similar to the ice cream. I can see the difference. It's hard to tell. This is the whipped topping and this is the ice cream. I mean, I don't know if you'd be able to tell just by looking. And the texture is not as different as you would expect. But there is a really thick layer of whipped topping in some areas. The center area is really thick layer. So I don't love that. I just think it kind of skimps out on some of the ice cream, but you can see how thick. Let me show you with my spoon. All the way down here, this is whipped topping. So it goes really deep into this ice cream. I don't love it. It does remind me a lot of the topped flavors in that you really have to get through a lot to get to the ice cream, and it's hard to kind of mix it together, which is probably understood from the description, but I wanted to try it out. This one's just not my favorite. I was excited about the pretzels. I really like Churn the Vote, which has pretzels. This is just not my favorite, but we'll see about the others and go from there.